Can I ask you something deeply personal? When you lie quietly at night, in those still, honest hours before sleep, is there something inside you that feels heavy, something unfinished, something unresolved, a weight that no amount of rest ever quite takes away? If there is, I want you to know something. You are not alone in that feeling, not even close. My dear friend, welcome. I'm so glad you're here today, and I mean that, not as words on a screen, but truly, deeply. I am glad you found this video, because what we're going to talk about today, it may be one of the most important conversations of your life. At our age, we've seen so much. We've loved people, we've lost people, we've built things, sacrificed things, endured things that younger generations cannot even imagine. We've carried so much for so long, and yet, there's a kind of quiet suffering that nobody talks about. Not the big griefs, not the obvious ones, but the small, invisible weights. The ones we've carried so long, we've forgotten they're even there. Today, my friend, we are going to name them, gently, honestly, together. Because the Buddha once said something that stopped me completely the first time I truly understood it. He said the cause of suffering is not what happens to us. It is what we cling to, And at this stage of life, if we are still clinging to things that no longer serve us, we are not just carrying weight, we are choosing it without even knowing it. So today, I want to share with you 7 things that quietly steal your peace after 60. Things that most people never let go of. And I want to share with you, in the gentle light of Buddhist wisdom, how to set them down, one by one, before it's too late. Not because I'm preaching, not because I have all the answers, but because, my friend, you and I have lived long enough to know that time is not unlimited and peace is not a luxury, it is your birthright. Let's begin. The first thing we must let go of is the version of ourselves we thought we'd be by now. I want to sit with that for a moment, because this one runs deep. Do you remember who you dreamed of becoming? Maybe it was in your 20s, your 30s. Maybe you had a picture in your mind of where you'd be, what you'd have, who you'd be surrounded by. The career, the home, the family, the accomplishments. And now, you look at your life, and some of those things happened, and some of them didn't. And somewhere inside, there is a quiet grief for the life you imagined but didn't live. Have you ever felt that? That low ache of an unlived dream? My dear friend, that grief is real. I am not going to pretend it isn't, but here is what the Buddha understood with such profound gentleness. The self is not a fixed thing. It was never a destination you were supposed to arrive at. The person you are right now, in this moment, with your history, your scars, your wisdom, your still beating heart, this is not a failure. This is a life, a full, real, irreplaceable human life. I remember sitting with an older monk once, a man who had spent decades as a meditation teacher. I expected someone full of certainty. Instead, he said to me very quietly, I let go of who I thought I'd be, and in the space that opened up, I finally met who I actually am. My friend, the image you've been carrying of a better version of yourself, one who made better choices, achieved more, suffered less, that image is a ghost, and you have been haunted by it long enough. Today, just for today, can you gently say to that ghost, thank you for the dreaming, but I am here now, and here is enough. Because it is, you are enough, exactly as you are, at this exact moment in your life. Let go of who you thought you'd be, and meet who you truly are. The second thing, and this one, my friend, is perhaps the heaviest thing most of us carry after 60, resentment. Not the loud kind, not the kind that makes us shout, but the quiet, settled kind. The kind that lives in the chest like a cold stone. The resentments we've carried for years, sometimes for decades, against a parent who didn't love us the way we needed, a sibling who betrayed our trust, a spouse who disappointed us, a child who drifted away, a friend who left without explanation, a life that didn't reward our effort the way we believed it should. Have you felt it? That old familiar tightness when certain names come to mind? Here is what I need you to hear. And please hear this as a friend, not a judge. Resentment does not punish the person who hurt you. It punishes you. Every single day you carry it, you are the one paying the price. Your peace, your sleep, your body, your joy, that is the cost. The Buddha described it this way: holding on to resentment is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. Now, I am not asking you to pretend what happened didn't hurt. It did hurt. Some of you carry wounds so old and so deep that even speaking about them brings tears. I understand that. Forgiveness is not saying what they did was acceptable. Forgiveness is saying I am no longer willing to let what they did determine my peace. It is a gift you give yourself. I think of a woman I once knew. She was in her late 70s, who had not spoken to her daughter in nearly 15 years. A terrible falling out, real pain on both sides. She told me she was waiting for her daughter to apologize first. And then, very quietly, she said, "But what if she never does? What if they never do, my friend? Are you going to carry this stone until the last day of your life? Or are you going to set it down?" Setting it down does not mean the relationship is repaired. Sometimes it cannot be. Setting it down means you choose your own peace over your own pain. You've carried it long enough. The third thing we must release is the need to control what other people think of us. Oh, this one has stolen so many years from so many beautiful souls. We've lived our entire lives, many of us, shaped by how others see us. What will the family think? What will the neighbors say? What will my children think if I do this? What will people say at the end of it all? At our age, we look back and we can see it so clearly, can't we? All those choices we didn't make because of what someone else might think. All the words we swallowed. The dreams we dismissed because they seemed too strange, too bold, too vulnerable. And the people whose opinions we were so terrified of, half of them are gone now, and the rest of them were never thinking about us nearly as much as we imagined. People are, my dear friend, almost entirely consumed by their own lives. The great audience we imagined judging our every move, it barely exists. The Buddha taught something called the middle way. Not swinging to one extreme of total self-indulgence and not to the other extreme of living entirely for others' approval. A quiet, dignified, honest center. At this stage of life, you have more than earned the right to live from that center. What do you actually want? Not what looks right or sounds wise or will be appreciated at your funeral. But what do you genuinely, quietly, honestly want for however much beautiful time you have left? Let go of the audience that was never really watching and start living for the one person who has been with you every single moment of your life, yourself. My friend, we are halfway through our list, and I want to pause here for a moment. Because sometimes, in videos like this, the wisdom stays in the mind. It becomes information. And information by itself changes nothing. So I want to ask you something, and I want you to really feel it. Which of these things have you been carrying? Which one right now is sitting heaviest in your chest? Don't rush past that question. Sit with it for a moment, because the next three things we're going to talk about, they go even deeper. The fourth thing, the need to revisit and relive old regrets. There is a particular kind of suffering that comes from the mind that will not leave the past alone. The mind that replays old conversations, old decisions, old moments. The mind that whispers, if only, if only, if only, if only I had taken that chance, said those words, stayed or left, chosen differently, been braver or wiser or kinder, if only. Have you heard that voice? Of course you have. We all have. Here is something the Buddhist teaching calls impermanence, anicca, the truth that everything, every moment, every choice, every version of ourselves arises and passes away. That moment when you made the decision you now regret, that moment is gone. It has dissolved into the river of time, like everything else. You cannot go back. Not one single second. Not with all the regret in the world. But here is the beautiful other side of impermanence. This moment, right now, is also impermanent. The pain you feel when you revisit that old regret, it too will pass. The heaviness you're carrying, it is not permanent. Nothing is. I once heard a story about an elderly Buddhist monk who was asked, "What is your greatest achievement in 50 years of practice?" He thought for a long moment and then said, "I have learned not to argue with the past. Not to argue with the past." What a freedom that must be. My dear friend, the past was the teacher, but it should not be the prison. You made the choices you made with the understanding you had at the time, and that is all any human being can ever do. Can you find it in yourself today to offer a small, quiet mercy to your younger self? To say, "You did what you could, I forgive you, now I am moving forward." Let go of the if-onlys. They are keeping you from the only moment that is actually real. This one, right now. The fifth thing, and this one may surprise you, the need to always be right. I say this gently, and I say it having spent many years being someone who needed to be right. So please hear this as one who understands. At our age, we've accumulated a lifetime of opinions, beliefs, values, and ways of seeing the world. That is natural. That is good. Experience teaches, wisdom grows. But sometimes, somewhere along the way, our opinions became armor. And we began defending them not because they were true, but because they were ours. And to question them felt like questioning ourselves. Have you ever ruined a beautiful afternoon over a disagreement that didn't matter? Have you ever let a relationship cool because you couldn't say two simple words, "I was wrong"? The Buddha called this rigidity of mind one of the subtle fetters, the invisible chains that bind us without our even knowing it. A mind that is rigid cannot be at peace. It is constantly at war. But a mind that is open, that can say, "I don't know, and perhaps you're right, and help me understand," that mind is free, genuinely free. This is not weakness. This is one of the most profound forms of strength available to us at this stage of life. The strength to hold our views lightly, to love people more than we love being right. Think of the relationships in your life right now. Is there one that is strained because of an argument, a disagreement, a position that neither side will release? Is it possible that being right is costing you something more precious than being right could ever give you? Let go of the need to win and discover the joy of simply being present. The sixth thing, comparing your life to the lives of others. My dear friend, comparison is a thief. It has always been a thief. But in our time, with technology showing us glimpses of other people's lives, it has become something even more insidious. Even at our age, we look at others and we see they seem so content. Their family seems so close. They seem financially comfortable. They seem healthy and vibrant and at peace. And we look at our own life and we feel small or incomplete, or somehow behind. But here is the truth that I need to say plainly. You are comparing your entire inner experience to everyone else's outer appearance. You see their smile in a photograph. You don't see what keeps them awake at 3 in the morning. You see their comfortable home. You don't see the old wounds inside it. You see their close family. You don't know what it cost to hold it together. The Buddhist teaching of interconnectedness reminds us that every life contains suffering. Every single life, without exception. The family that looks perfect from outside is fighting battles you cannot see. The person who seems so serene has known grief you cannot imagine. We are all, every single one of us, doing our best. And your life, my friend, this particular unrepeatable, irreplaceable life of yours, with everything it contains, with all its complexity and beauty and heartbreak, Your life has a depth and a dignity that no other life on earth can match, because it is yours. Stop measuring it. Start living it. And now we come to the seventh thing, the last one. And for many people, this is the deepest one, the fear of death. I know. Perhaps you didn't expect me to say it so directly, but my dear friend, we are at the age where this can no longer be avoided. And I believe with all my heart that the most loving thing I can do is to speak about it gently and honestly. Because here is what I've seen over and over again. People who spend the last years of their lives unable to be fully present, unable to laugh freely, unable to love without holding back, because underneath everything, there is a fear they have never made peace with, the fear of ending. And that fear, unexamined and unspoken, casts a shadow over everything. The Buddha did not look away from death. He looked directly at it. Not with morbidity, not with despair, but with open, clear, compassionate eyes. And what he found was not horror. What he found was liberation. He taught that clinging to life, desperately grasping at each moment, terrified of its ending, is itself a source of deep suffering. But when we can hold our life gently, the way we hold a beautiful bird in cupped hands, knowing that it will eventually fly away, that is when we can truly, fully live. There is a moment in the dying process that hospice workers sometimes describe. A moment when a person who has spent their whole life running from the thought of death finally stops running, finally sits with it, finally looks at it, and in that stillness, something remarkable often happens. A deep peace, a quiet that had never been accessible before. As if all that energy spent running had been blocking something beautiful. What if you could find that peace now? Not at the end, but now in the middle of your life? What if death was not the enemy, but the teacher? The one who reminds you every single day, this moment is precious. This person in front of you is precious. This breath, this sky, this cup of tea, this gentle, ordinary miracle of being alive, precious. My dear, dear friend, you have lived a life, a real, full, complicated, gorgeous, heartbreaking, beautiful human life, and it is not over. Let go of the terror of ending and let what remains fill up with living. Now I want to sit with you for one more moment because I think you deserve that. You came to this video today carrying something. Maybe you knew what it was, maybe you didn't. Maybe you just felt that gentle pull, that quiet knowing that said, I need to hear something today. And I hope, with all the warmth I have in me, that somewhere in these words, you found a thread to hold. Here is what I know, my friend. I know that every single thing we talked about today, the unlived dreams, the old resentments, the fear of judgment, the grip of regret, the need to be right, the trap of comparison, the terror of ending, every single one of these is something that human beings have struggled with for thousands of years. The Buddha struggled with them. The monks and the teachers and the ordinary, extraordinary people who have sat with these teachings for millennia, they struggled too. You are not weak for carrying these things. You are human. But here is what the Buddha offered, and what I want to leave with you today. He said, the path is not about perfection. It is not about becoming someone else or achieving some distant enlightened state. The path is about waking up gently and gradually to what is already here. Peace is already here. It has been here your whole life, waiting beneath the weight. And at our age, my dear friend, we have something that younger people rarely have. We have perspective. We have survived enough to know what truly matters. We have felt lost deeply enough to understand what we have. We have lived long enough to stop pretending. That is not a burden. That is a gift. Imagine, if you can, what the rest of your life could feel like. Not if you became someone else. Not if circumstances changed. But simply if you set down these 7 weights one by one. If you stopped arguing with the past, stopped waiting for permission to be at peace, stopped measuring your life against someone else's, stopped running from the one truth that can actually set you free. What if mornings felt lighter? What if old relationships softened? What if you could sit in a quiet room and feel, not dread, but something close to wonder? That is not a fantasy. That is available to you, right now, in this life, in these remaining precious, unrepeatable days. The Buddha did not promise us another life. He spoke about this one, this very life, and he said, with awareness, with compassion, with the willingness to let go, this life can become something extraordinary, not because everything goes right, but because you are finally, fully here for it. My dear friend, thank you for spending this time with me today. Truly, this conversation has meant something to me. If anything we spoke about today touched something in you, I want to gently ask one thing, not for me, for yourself. Sit with it. Don't rush past it. Let it settle. Maybe tonight, before you sleep, you write down just one thing you are ready to let go of. Just one. You don't have to do all 7 at once. The path is walked one gentle step at a time. And if these words gave you even a small measure of peace or clarity, please share this video with someone you love. Someone who might also be carrying something heavy and not knowing where to set it down. We are all, every one of us, walking each other home. If you haven't already, please subscribe to this channel, because every week you and I will sit together like this, and we will talk about the things that truly matter, the quiet wisdom that this stage of life opens up for us, if we are willing to receive it. And next, I want you to watch our video on how to find stillness when the mind won't stop, because for many of you, what we talked about today will stir things up, and that next video will help you settle back into peace. Until then, my dear, dear friend, go gently, be kind to yourself, and remember, you have lived long enough and loved deeply enough to deserve every moment of peace that is waiting for you. It is waiting. All you have to do is let go.